Hey guys, it's Matt. I'm going to go back to yesteryear and take a look at three events that just still fascinate me to this day. It started in 1984. What a coincidence, right? 1984 with Band Aid, those altruistic souls, the British in UK and I guess EU singers and rockers wanting to help Africa and the famine going on. So it started in 1984. What a coincidence. With Band Aid. Do they know it's Christmas? You remember that. Feed the world, But are you giving anything? You said, anyway. Then the USA had to respond, and they created a super group. All fraudulent, all planned in advance. USA to Africa. Michael Jackson, Diana Ross. We are the world. I'm not, give me a break. This is Band-Aid. You're looking at George Michael. I've never seen his hair look that bad. George Michael, I once thought I had a theory that he was the devil because you could look at him over a 25-year period and his hair, and this is just, I'm not entirely joking. His hair is never not perfect in anything all the time. That's the worst I've ever seen his hair. Only the devil could pull that off. Anyway, so then early January 1985 is We Are the World. Band-Aid was first, 1984. Has to start in Orwell's 1984. Then we go 1985. Guys, I'm gonna jump around a little bit here. I'm not gonna just stay on this. The video part of what my presentation is so important. And then January of 1985, We Are the World. And then, of course, guess what it ended with? Live Aid. Live Aid, July of 1985. Live Aid. Now, Live Aid by itself just fascinates me. The level of, what can I talk? Can I say this? Let's just say the money, I don't know, like 90% didn't really get anywhere, didn't make it. This is pretty well documented at this point. And guys, just to talk about, it's comical. Let's just start here. For those that can't see anything here, you don't have to see anything. There's no reason even to have the video. About 72,000 people attended the London event in Wembley, Live Aid now, July. This is after We Are the World, after Band Aid. 100,000 attended in Philadelphia in John F. Kennedy Stadium, which I was in once as a very young kid for the Michael Jackson concert. So John F. Kennedy Stadium. Guys, maybe sometimes I go too far and look for symbolism in places where it doesn't exist, but it's just generally how they do business. The stadium was torn down shortly after this. Matt, it probably was a Tartaria remnant. Maybe. It did hold way more people than the Veterans Stadium for the Eagles just right across the way. But the point is, it says here the Live Aid event was aired on television and seen by an estimated 1.9 billion people. All right, what did I do with my calculator here? 1.9 billion people saw, and it's a charity event for starving people, mostly in famine-stricken Ethiopia. So they said. Do I believe that? No. But so they said. So it raised, where does it say the money here that it was raised? It says somewhere that it raised 125 million. Yeah, here it is. Just so you know, I'm not making this up, because people are going, "What? All these stars, all 100?" It says right here, the event raised. This is on PennLive.com. The event raised more than 125 million. Now, if you do the math on that, 1.9 billion people watched, and they knew it was about starving Africa. So that means your average donation for people that in some way participated in Live Aid by watching or attending, your average donation was 6 cents. Your average donation was 6 cents if you include all that were involved. Now, this doesn't make any sense. 125 million, because the event, it says that's what the total, it says the event raised more than 125 million. It raised 125 million and 10 cents. Any one of these stars should have been able to write a check for that entire amount. So, guys, Sting could write a check What was his contribution? Did we ever find out what oh, well, they gave their time and effort making this wonderful song. I don't know what I can say. Fraud. Are you kidding me? So it's a very dark, let's just go. It starts with this guy, Paul Young, starts it out. He must be the luckiest person in the history of the world. He had a big hit at the time, and they start out this mega supergroup with Paul Young, only known for one thing. And I have to sing it, guys. It's better that you get it from me than you don't know what I'm talking about, even though this is bad. Every time you go away, you take a piece of me with you. Terrible. So he's real popular at the time with that wonderful hit. So he starts it off. Who would you get to start these super groups off? You would, I don't know, like Elvis or, John Lennon, Elvis. I mean, you want a mega star, but they start with Paul Young. And then it goes to Boy George and anybody. I'm just scrolling along the video at the bottom. Of course, I can't play in this. Then George Michael. And then it goes to Simon Le Bon. And the lyrics are very dark. They're very dark. So let's look at Do They Know It's Christmas, it's called. Do They Know It's Christmas? Band-Aid, Feed the World. It's Christmas time. This is Paul Young starting off. There's no need to be afraid. Who's afraid? See, it's planting right off the bat. Just puts into your subconscious most people aren't even aware of the lyrics as they're hearing them. They're just listening to the nice melody and looking at look at all the stars that came together in the supergroup. There's no need to be afraid. Putting it right in why would we be afraid anyway? So it's so dark. And I'll be quick through this. I'm not going to waste our energies on this. At Christmas time, we let in light and we banish shade. Who wrote this? This is a super group? At Christmas. I mean, if I wrote this and gave it to them, they would be like, what is this? Who wrote this? It's terrible. And then, okay, so this is when we go to Boy George. And in our world of plenty, we can spread a mile of joy. Throw your arms around the world at Christmas time. That's Boy George's part. Isn't that nice? All right. Then George Michael always has a great voice, but it's so hilarious they put Simon Le Bon after George Michael. But say a prayer, pray for the other ones. And George Michael sings it very well. And he continues this. At Christmas time, it's hard, he says. Then Simon Le Bon comes in, one of the worst voices of all time. But when you're having fun. So the lyric is, but say a prayer, pray for the other ones. At Christmas time, it's hard. See, it's just more negativity. And then Simon Le Bon, but when you're having fun, what? Let's just get to the lyrics are very dark. There is a world outside your window, and it's a world of dread and fear. Well, why? I mean, why they keep putting that in your mind, in your subconscious? Where the only water flowing is the bitter sting of tears. The only water flowing is tears. This is so dark. But they when they sing it and the melodies of it are kind of, you think it's so wonderfully uplifting. But the message to your subconscious as you're taking the lyrics is very dark. And the Christmas bells that ring there are the clanging chimes of doom. What? Okay. Well, Matt, they're talking about harsh conditions in Africa. That's the cover of it, sure. Well, tonight, thank God, it's them instead of you. Oh, boy. And there won't be snow in Africa this Christmas time. They say that like that's a negative thing. Whatever little crops that are being raised, it would kill them all. You don't want snow. They're saying that like, oh, there's no snow in Africa. That's terrible. No, it would whatever little crops are left, they'd all be dead. So that's a good thing. But they present it as a bad thing. The greatest gift they'll get this year is life, where nothing ever grows, nor no rain nor rivers flow, where nothing ever, see, ever is ever, guys, ever, okay? I guarantee you, okay, maybe there was a horrible famine, of course, and they're going to take advantage of the tragedy in Ethiopia that year. A horrible situation for those poor people, of course. But I assure you Ethiopia isn't like that every single year going back hundreds and hundreds of years, whatever, where nothing ever grows. I mean, what? They're trying to permanently curse the place? Probably. Do they know it's Christmas time at all? Of course they don't know it's Christmas time. They don't carry those religions. Or they don't know it's Christmas. They don't track the Christian calendar in Ethiopia. Maybe they do. I guess I shouldn't speak, but I doubt they're welcoming old Saint Nick. But maybe I'm wrong. Here's to you, raise a glass for everyone, spare a thought this Yuletide for the deprived. If the table was turned, would you survive? It's the darkest song of all time, and everybody just listens to the upbeat, and it's so wonderfully positive. Here's to them underneath that burning sun. You ain't gotta feel guilt, just selfless. Give a little help to the helpless. Do they know it's Christmas time? Feed the world. Let them know it's Christmas time. Oh boy. Okay. Sorry we had to do that. But what's fascinating, again, if you look in, here's where we confirm it, the average donation was 6 cents. When you look into, guys, before we do that, the lyrics aren't as interesting for We Are the World, We Are the Children, Michael Jackson, the U.S., answer to Band-Aid. It's just, there's not much here. There comes a time when we heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one. It's more benign and generally uplifting to a degree. Still an FRAUD. Okay. Now, this was strange to me, for those just listening. When the supergroup came together with Michael Jackson and Diana Ross and Lionel Richie and the America's answers to Band-Aid, it wasn't like they got together because they were being upstaged by the Brits. It's all by design, laid down well in advance by really higher ups like Bob Geldof. We'll talk about Geldorf or Geldof, whatever his name is. He's a higher up, big time. But the USA formed these posters and this whole logo, USA to Africa. The corporation formed, or the entity formed, to bring all the United States people together. USA for Africa. It's like, well, what do you mean for Africa? It's an entire continent, much bigger than the United States. I assure you that during the drought in Ethiopia, there was many parts of Africa. Again, it's just mammoth, that were not having any drought, that everything was just fine in wherever, at the Ivory Coast, or Libya was having a good year, or South Africa, or Tanzania, or Mali, or Kenya, or there were parts of Africa that were doing just fine. So USA for Africa. Well, why don't they make it? Isn't it USA for Ethiopia? Like, I don't know if there was I don't know. It's just weird to include all these different countries. But see, this is the marketing of it. The U.S. the average U.S. consumer of this, they don't even understand. It's just all of Africa is just starving. That's the message almost that they want to get out. And almost during this time, we as a kid, all of Africa is starving. That's what I believed. But this is the way they present it. It's all by design. Whatever. So what else did I definitely wanted to talk about Live Aid a little bit. I mean, you don't need any more pictures or anything. Now, interesting, when I did the research initially on Live Aid, of course, we've heard the name Bob Geldof. I don't know exactly how to pronounce his name. I don't really care. But when I made the original presentation, I thought, how did this guy's got to be a higher up. You talk about these levels of Illuminati or whatever. I mean, all these people, he places a phone call. How many people are even going to take the phone call? And it's not like somebody on behalf of the Queen placing the phone call. And I know Geldorf organized Band-Aid, do they know it's Christmas time? But he was totally the organizer on Live Aid and probably had a hand in, the USA, We Are the World. But how many people can bring George Michael and Duran Duran and Sting and all these people into a room? You have to be some kind of creepy higher up to have them take the call. Because who is he? This is, again, Bob Geldof, the Boomtown Rats, some little tiny band that had one hit that anybody knows of. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. Tell me why. I mean, come on. Sting would be like, who's on the phone? Oh, Geldorf for the Boomtown. Tell me why. Yeah, we know I don't like Mondays. Tell him I'm disposed or indisposed or whatever the word is. Tell him anything. I'm not taking his friggin' call. The only way he would be able to get all these people in the same room is it's like, ooh, Bob Geldorf of this bloodline. Oh, or he goes into the dark, creepy room. Oh yeah, we have to. George Michael. Oh yeah, he's going to take the call. Sting. Oh, he's going to take the call. This guy. I don't want to know. I don't want to get any closer to it than me just speculating around websites like this. But I've always wondered who this guy is and his connections, because the resume, the CV resume of who he is, who he should be able to get into the room together, who would take his call. It's kind of like Snoop Dogg's resume as he applied for Soul Plane. He played Microsoft Flight Simulator or F-16 Fighting Falcon. He drew on bombs in Desert Storm. It's if you ever seen Snoop Dogg's resume in Soul Plane, pause it as you watch it. It's the funniest thing you've ever seen in your life. On paper, Geldof's resume is like that. So how does he get these megastars to cancel their existing calendars to get him in the same room? He's got to be so creepily connected. It's not even funny. All right, let's just close this video by looking at the ridiculous number of what supposedly was raised. What I found said 125 million. The History Channel says 127. It's right around here. It's a joke. Anybody yelling at this presentation saying, well, Matt, inflation, you have to go back in time. Oh, yeah, I'm taking all that into account. It's still a joke. Okay, sure, 125 million is a big number even today, and back then it was, but it's a joke. Anybody close to 50 recognizes or remembers how big this thing was. There wasn't all these cable channels or things to watch or what we have today, endless Netflix series. This was it, man. This was the biggest event in the world that the world had ever seen. You know, when it said that one article, 1.9 billion people in some way watched it on TV or heard it on a radio from some country. Are they trying to drop the 19? Maybe, but it's probably accurate. It was that big. I'm telling you. I remember it was that big. So 125 million raised, I'm taking in inflationary factors into account. It's still a joke. I guarantee several of those artists could have very easily written a check for $30, $40 million themselves. So if anything, the amount of money should be a dual presentation. It should be, this is what was raised by people calling in to the Jerry Lewis telethon and pledging $5 or percentage of the ticket price that from Wembley Stadium and JFK. That even by itself, 125 million from the fans would be a joke. This is the biggest thing of all time. And if anybody's screaming at this presentation, well, Matt, of course it was stolen. Yeah, I'm aware of that. And I'm going to get to that. Of course it was probably stolen. But let's just start with the basics and move up from there. So you should at least have a dual presentation. This is what was raised by fans and percentage of the ticket price and the good people that called in. And then the stars and everybody that participated matched it, another 125 million. Maybe I didn't research it long enough, but there doesn't seem to be a separate number of what Lionel Richie combined with Bono of U2 and Sting and George Michael and all the stars could have pitched in and had a number that matched. Where was their contribution? They probably could have just emptied their pockets. Everybody after singing, everybody empty their pockets and see if we can raise 125 million. Paul McCartney was involved. Michael Jackson was involved in the United States. Dionne Warwick, Diana Ross. I mean, if they empty their pockets, 125 million might spill out. So where's the stars and what they gave to this? You know, I understand it. It's not 125 million. Probably couldn't be raised. You know, in that Coming to America event where Lisa McDowell sent around, you know, the little box, and you know, we will take the type of money that jingles, but we certainly would like the type of money that folds. And then, you know, he says, I thought it was a trash can. He tries to put his chicken bone in the box, and you know, Akeem puts the big wad of money. Akeem probably put more money into that little box that went around the charitable event that Mr. McDowell sponsored in Coming to America than what was raised here. So, of course, it raised more. And then that would lead one to say, well, yeah, where'd the money go? What was raised? Of course. And even what they say officially it was raised, Spin Magazine and official sources even admit today the money, it didn't make it to where it needed to go. Like 90% of the money didn't make it where it needed to go through official sources. In this community, we would have predicted that anyway, of course. They don't care anything about Ethiopians. They don't give one crap about raising money to help people. That's not the way the beast system does business, man. So we would have predicted that, but at least, guys, see, it's almost, is it a mistake on purpose or like a truth? Almost. Like, who would believe the mega of this biggest event the world had ever seen would raise 125 million when the stars themselves through pocket change should be able to raise this? So even the presentation of it almost like it can't present itself realistically. It has to, these things always have to have blatant problems and big issues and errors and mistakes in the story for people like us to latch onto and other people to look at us and call us crazy. And just to wrap up this video, but staying on the 125 million, it's just mind-boggling. Guys, if everything went wrong in terms of raising money, they still should have been able to raise more than 125 million. And I mean, if everything went wrong, everything you possibly can imagine went wrong. Just days before the event, Bob Geldorf could have gone into any middle school and said, pick out 5 8th graders at random and said, you guys, we're putting on the biggest event the world has ever seen in 5 days. You guys are in charge of collecting the money worldwide. They would have collected more than 125 million. Several 8th graders pull out of a middle school at random. I'm not joking. This was the biggest thing the world had ever seen. Everybody in the world, of course, was shown these pictures of starving Africa, the big bloated bellies because they're starving. The belly extrudes out. I mean, it wouldn't have been hard to just, without even trying, raise $500 million. I mean, it's almost like, you know, somebody working with Bob Geldorf said, okay, we're just a day away from the event. Where's your phones to collect the money? There are no phones. Well, have you ever watched the Jerry Lewis telethon? There's people taking phone calls and they collect money. They get people's information. They tell them at least where to send a check. I mean, people are, you have a whole phone bank set up. We didn't think of that. There are no phones. Well, do you have an address that you're going to like post 4 or 5 times during the concert, like before Madonna comes out? She can say, remember, send your donation here. Did you hear any artists saying that? Were the artists pushing or promoting that? Maybe. I don't remember that at all. But you could at least have, do you have an address? Did you get a P.O. box with the the Trenton, New Jersey post office? Do you have a P.O. box where people can send money? We didn't think of that. We didn't get no P.O. box. But if they did everything wrong, they would have been able to collect more than 125 million. Enough said. What a joke. What a joke. Guys, I hope you're doing well in this very strange, very, very strange Christmas day. And I'd like to do another video today, but I don't know if I can. If not, I'll be back as soon as I can. Thanks.